ومن سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة.
It's narrated from Tirmidhi and others that some in weak hadith that they would read Surah Yaseen on, and the hadith narrated, the Prophet ﷺ narrated that he said, "Iqra'u Yaseen ala mawtakum." Read Surah Yaseen on the dead. And what they mean by that is, يعني, a lot of people they misinterpret it and they read Surah Yaseen after the person's died. But what is recommended here is to read Surah Yaseen on when he's dying, during ihtidar. So this is from the Sunan. They mention it in the books of those books. From when the person's during ihtidar, when his soul is coming out, reciting Surah Yaseen, because it makes the ihtidar easier for them. The hadith is weak. But some of the Salaf used to do it.
So it's when they say
It's weak. La. The hadith is weak. Aslan, the hadith is weak. From the Prophet ﷺ saying is weak. Lakin, is every hadith, and this is an important principle when it comes to al-istidlal as well, taking evidence. How do you understand evidence? Is something a proof or not? The hadith that is weak, what does it mean by that? What do you mean by hadith is weak? Does it mean the chain of narration? Does it mean the Prophet ﷺ did not say it? Yani, could the Prophet ﷺ have said it? Possible. And this is mawdu', right? Mawdu' means, you guys learn Mustalah al-Hadeeth, right? Shaykh Abu Sa'ad teaches on Wednesday, right? Or Sunday, sorry. I think. Wednesday, Mustalah al-Hadeeth. Al-mawdu', as they say, وَالْكَذِبُ الْمُخْتَلَقُ الْمَصْنُوعُ عَلَى النَّبِي فَذَلِكَ الْمَوْضُوعُ. The kadhib, the lie made against the Prophet ﷺ, mawdu'. So the hadith that is mawdu', do we say the Prophet ﷺ could have said it? No. It's a lie that was made up against the Prophet ﷺ, so therefore it's hadith which is mawdu'. The hadith which is da'if, it is a hadith that's been narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, but some of the narrators, they were weak in their transmission generally, so we don't take from them. But do we say that the Prophet ﷺ definitely did not say it because you narrated it? No. Yani, even the most weak person in his memory doesn't get it wrong every time, unless he's majnoon. If someone's majnoon, then that's different. Like someone who's a person of knowledge, sometimes might get it right. So the hadith which has some weakness, but it's not necessarily 100%, it's not necessarily mawdu', it doesn't get to that level of extreme weakness. And then we don't necessarily say the Prophet ﷺ did not do it. But what do we say? We say we cannot affirm that for the Prophet ﷺ for him to have said it. Right? Because the Prophet ﷺ said this out of ihtiyat, out of being very careful with the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawa maq'adahu min an-nar." Whoever lies upon me intentionally, let him take his place in the hellfire. Take your place in the hellfire if you lie against the Prophet ﷺ. So you be very careful. So we say this hadith is weak. We can't attribute it to the Prophet ﷺ. طيب. Now, if the hadith is weak and we can't attribute the saying to the Prophet ﷺ, but there are other there are other indications that show that this ruling in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ did encourage it. What sort of indication could that be? Another hadith which is authentic, right? We say that this hadith saying the Prophet ﷺ said, do this and that, is weak. But there's another hadith authentic that he done it. That he said do it. So we say, the hadith here, we don't say that he said these exact words, but the meaning is correct. It's sunnah for you to do it, right? Right? From amongst those indications as well is the action of the Salaf. If the Salaf, there's a hadith which is weak, but it's not mawdu'. And then we find that some of the Salaf, they would do this. For example, the hadith of, we make dua wiping the face. The hadith is weak. The Sahaba narrated from the Sahaba is weak. But you find from the Tabi'in, they would do it. Narrated by Abdul and Musannaf and others, they say that the Tabi'in, they would do it. They wipe their face after dua. So what does that show? Based on this, some of the scholars, they would say, the hadith is weak, but it is recommended because the Salaf, they would do it. Some of the Salaf would do it. It's narrated from and we do not believe that they done it except with what? With evidence. They took, who were the Tabi'in? They're the students of who? Sahaba. So are they going to take anything from the Sahaba that they didn't take from the Prophet ﷺ? No. Right? So this obviously, and some issues are clear cut and some of them are not as clear cut. For example, this issue of Surah Yaseen. If the ulama now, we can't say it's bid'ah. for someone to recite Surah Yaseen on someone who's about to die because of the hadith and because of the action of some of the Salaf. Right? Some scholars would say, no, the hadith is weak and the actions of the Salaf, not all of them done it. So therefore, we're not saying it's Sunnah. That would be one opinion. And the other opinion will be, no, the Salaf, they done it and the hadith is weak. These two coming together is an indication that the Prophet ﷺ must have encouraged it. Therefore, it is recommended. See it? See where they come from? So it's very important to understand when to recognize an opinion which is valid and when to recognize an opinion which is invalid. So the problem obviously is when people, they take the opinion wrongly and understand it wrong. They read Surah Yaseen after the person's died, after they're buried, and they go eat together. They go back home and everyone eats rice. That's not sunnah, that's bid'ah. That's not allowed. But the mas'ala there that you asked is it's not part of our lesson, but jazakallah khairan. It's important. It's important because it's very important for people to understand when and how the scholars when to recognize a correct or valid difference of opinion, and how the scholars they take their extract our rulings, for how they extract our rulings. Not every single ruling is based on just the hadith is authentic or not. So there's also other indications, i'tibarat, other things that you have to other things you have to put into your consideration when making a ruling, if it's halal, haram, sunnah or not. Is that clear? From amongst them is the action of some of the salaf. So they would do it. So wallahu a'lam, it's allowed for someone, if someone is during ihtidar, so the hadith is talking about ihtidar, not after the death, when their soul's about to come out, to read Surah Yaseen on them. It's allowed. No.